This is a review of a 7-year-old first generation Kindle Paperwhite. Yes, I'm dating myself. I've had this for 7 years. I mean, it's still in pretty good shape. Some dust and maybe a few scuffed edges on it. Looks like I smashed some chalk or crayon into the E on Kindle. Yeah, there's some rub marks on it, but it's really held up. Looking good. It's like a fine wine. The battery life really sucks now. Well, in comparison to what it used to be. The battery used to last for about a month, 30 days or so when I first got it. And obviously it slowly dwindled down over the years. And as of late, it only lasts maybe a day or two, usually enough for a weekend trip. I do have to put it in airplane mode because I've noticed that when it uses the cellular network, the battery goes down a lot faster. Also, it's better to turn it completely off than have this, whatever this state is, with the e-ink on. You do what you can to try to save battery life. But it's not worse than a smartphone. So, it's still highly usable, and I still take it on trips with me, even though it dies pretty quick. The other thing that I would note is that I think it's important to get a screen protector. Not sure if you can tell, but there's a scratch on my screen. And although during the daytime I can read this just fine, if it's at night and I'm using the backlight, I do notice the scratch, and it's a little distracting. I still use it just fine, but I think in the future I would get like a film to just protect this part of the screen. I prefer not to have an entire case, just because the thing is already so wide and bulky that, I don't know, I think it's a pain in the butt to add anything else to it because it barely fits in pockets as it is. And I think the only important thing that you need to worry about is scratching this part of the screen. So just get some sort of film and throw it on to the screen. And for having this 7 years and only having like 1 or 2 scratches on it, it's actually pretty amazing. And I think there's obviously some sort of scratch resistant coating on the top. Talking about the size, it is a little too wide in my opinion. I can fit it into large pant pockets, like some Levi jeans, and sometimes the back pockets of some jeans, or large jacket pockets. So it's not too much of a pain to carry around while you're traveling, but it is slightly uncomfortable. And I think if they could somehow figure out how to trim off this excess width and still have this much screen area, I think it would make it all the better. I haven't seen the latest generations of Kindle, so maybe they already did that. I hope they did. One thing that I didn't notice at first, and I'm not sure if this happened over the years or I just became more perceptive, but the backlight is a little blotchy. I'm not going to be able to see it in the daytime. You can kind of tell that it's uneven, and you can see a little bit of like where the light source is coming from. Not a huge distraction. Doesn't really bother me, but it is something that I noticed eventually. That's pretty much all I can say about it. It really does its job well. I love reading on it, and it's way better than carrying a stack of books with you when you're traveling. Like I said, it probably needs to be not quite as wide to be a little bit more portable. It would be perfect in that regard if it was just this wide. I do wish, for the environment's sake, that the battery was replaceable, because as old as this is, it's still very usable, and it would be kind of nice to replace the battery. But yep, this is an oldie here, hanging in there. Have fun with this thing.